There we go. Sorry, y'all. Hello, hello, hello. At least I caught that before I started talking all the time. How's it going, everybody? Hey, Edmund, you said, child, those hands. Right? Right? We're talking about that today for sure, guys. This is a recap of last week and today, okay? Allison, hey. Hey, Kaiwan, it's your brother's birthday. Happy birthday to your brother. Nathan, you said, am I ready for the nurse's ball? I am ready for the nurse's ball. I'm excited for it. Actually, to be honest, I'm kind of glad that I did the live stream today, because everything after today is the nurse's ball. So, like, next Sunday we can just talk about the nurse's ball and only the nurse's ball. And I like when it happens that way, because then it's like, you know, a lot of it is just like talking about the performances, what my favorites end up being, and of course, you know, the drama that it will ensue inevitably. Your brother's name is Chris. Happy birthday, Chris. I hope you had an excellent birthday. But yeah, I'm so ready for the nurse's ball. I'm excited for it. Angel says, goodness my, the battle sounds before the slaps. Yup. Oh man, yeah, obviously I got an opinion on that. So yeah, welcome to the General Hospital After Show. I'm your host, Dion Gabriel, coming at you live on a Monday. Again, sorry everything's been pushed back by a day this week, but honestly I'm kind of glad with it, because we are talking about the nurse's ball next week for the recap, and that's all we got to talk about. But yeah, and also the part 2 of Denise Alexander's tribute will happen on Thursday instead of Wednesday. And the reason why it's a two-parter is because I had so many videos lined up last week that it was, you know, we were bordering 2 hours, and I was like, it's getting late. We'll continue this next week. So yeah, so stay tuned for that as well. But in the meantime, let's recap last week's show and today's show. The first thing I want to talk about is the ongoing mess with Christina. I swear that girl loses more and more brain cells. Like, each passing day, she made an oopsie talking to her brother Dante by mentioning how totaled Rick's car looked. Like, girl, you were told by Lucky. You were told by Lucky to go back to work, go in through the back and make it look like you've been there doing inventory for hours. And you told Molly this too. So, like, you know, and then she got the call that Rick was in an accident while Christina was there. So now Christina has to basically make sure that Dante and Molly just don't talk about this situation. Oh, you're welcome, Chris. And Kaiwan. Allison says she will never win against Carly. We're going to get into that for sure. Don't worry. I just want to get this Alexis and Lucky stuff out of the way, because it wasn't really talked about in Monday's episode anyway. Just to kind of quickly wrap that up before we get into that. Before we get into the brawl. But yeah. Anyway, Alexis is also doing her best to try and get out from under Rick and Ava's thumb. She hired Spinelli to track down where Rick's car was being stored without going into too many details as to why. And he does manage to track it down because he's Spinelli. He's the jackal. And but like the issue was, before Alexis could even make her way there, Rick paid her a visit. And she couldn't help but sort of cryptically start gloating in like a get out now before it's too late kind of vibe. Like, she didn't mention that she knew where the car was, but Rick's no dummy. So he clearly figured it out and got the car out of there before she got there, even leaving her a note in the empty lot, or in the empty storage unit, whatever it was, where the car originally was. And Alexis found that note and she was pissed. Lucky actually showed up there too, because when Rick was paying Elizabeth a visit, she was starting to remember that Rick mentioned that the brakes weren't working as they were just about to crash. and Rick mentioned the insurance company, and Elizabeth mentioned that to Lucky when he got back to their place. So Lucky did some digging on his own, and it led him to that same lot. So he and Alexis, they kind of compared notes to what they both knew, essentially, and Alexis told Lucky that Rick and Ava were blackmailing her. And that's pretty much where things ended last week. Again, nothing was talked about in today's episode. And the rest of the week's focus is going to be on the nurses' ball. Not that it couldn't come out during the nurses' ball, but I think the main source of drama for the nurses' ball will likely be the Geo stuff. And this mysterious returning character this morning's promo alluded to. Angel, you said that came from the deepest resentment, but Nina is the psycho with the candle. Thank God for Joss. Yeah, we're going to get into that next, but before we do, just one more thing. Do you guys... I think I know who the mysterious person is. I don't know if it's been revealed on a spoiler website or whatever, but my money is on Michael. I mean, because we know that someone is coming to the nurses' ball, and it's a surprise person that we'll never guess, but I think it's Michael. I mean, things are happening really quickly on that front all of a sudden. Last week, Carly got the news that his court hearing was going to happen on June 2nd, I think, which was unexpected for her because she and Diane figured it would take at least 6 months to get a date locked down. But unfortunately, a court date for another trial got postponed, and because this is supposedly a high-profile case, they thought it would be perfect. Not Carly and Diane, the courts thought it would be perfect. And then Carly and Diane, they kind of discussed the logistics of what it would look like to postpone the trial, if it would work in Willow's favor, which it might, versus Carly standing in for Michael instead to ask for emergency custody while Michael is in Germany recovering on the grounds of Willow and Drew's home being unfit, and obviously using Drew's scandalous videos of partying with a sex worker alongside the video of Drew and Willow's nanny cam footage of them running around like farm animals on Scout's playroom floor as leverage. Shout out to Lucky Spencer for that quote from another notorious affair on GH. But yeah, when Willow got served the notice for the trial, she went into panic mode while Drew coddled her, and then he hired Rick Lansing to be their lawyer because, of course, Rick would take this on just to have another go at sticking it to Sonny. That man never changes. And when Sonny found out about Carly fighting for emergency custody, he was not happy and said it was a disaster in the making and that she would surely lose her relationship with Michael if she did this behind his back, and ended up losing custody of his children as a result. And so Sonny took it upon himself today to go to Willow. Was it today? Yeah, of course it was today. To go to Willow and try to convince her to postpone the trial herself, so that Michael had a chance to say his piece as well. And he even managed to convince her to do that. Unfortunately, during this time, Nina went to Carly to confront her about this emergency custody business, and they definitely weren't seeing eye to eye. Nina wanted Carly to wait while she worked on Willow to get her away from Drew, but Carly's over it, obviously. And then the two of them got into it pretty heavily about each other's mothering skills. And Carly, being Carly, threw salt on the wounds, mentioning Nell and what Nina did to Sonny at Nixon Falls. And Nina slapped her hard for it, y'all. And it turned into an all-out brawl on the floor till Jocelyn pulled Nina off of her. And y'all, that was insane. Like, it was well shot. They had stunt doubles. We've seen pictures on GH's social media of their stunt doubles, and it reminded me, like, we used to see like Laura Wright and Kelly Monaco in their fights. You know, they were doing their own stunts. It looked like, at least it seemed to be at the time. But you know, I guess that was like over a decade ago. So gotta protect the actors that as they get a little bit older. But it was entertaining, honestly. I really enjoyed it. I know everyone's been talking about it on their live streams today too, and you know, thinking who won. Like, really, there's no winners. Nina got that slap in, and definitely got the upper hand on Carly, in my opinion. But like, they both end up losers because it really screwed them over. Because Sonny, he convinced Willow to freaking postpone the trial, and then in walks Nina. Nina had to go running to Willow about it, and that just solidified for Willow that the trial needs to be ongoing. Carly must be stopped. It just ruined any chance that they had to compromise. And Sonny even says to Nina, if Willow loses custody of her kids completely, she'd have no one to blame but herself for that because of going to Carly. I mean, no one could have predicted that was going to happen, but it was insane. It was insane. But something I want to mention that went down before Nina showed up was the two of them talked about how Michael refused to see her and clearly had nothing more to say to her and seemed to want full custody, which confused Sonny because of the conversation he and Michael had before the firebomb incident, and about how he wanted to share custody with Willow, and that the original full custody filing was only a tactic, like a strategic thing suggested by Diane, so that shared custody would be the likely outcome. And he talked about how much Michael endured as a child from all the custody battles he had to deal with because of him and Carly's toxicity. So at least something's been planted in both their minds that something's not right with why Michael would just flat out not want to see her, especially with how he was feeling. But I don't think it would have mattered to Willow. I mean, it didn't matter to Willow once she found out what Carly did to Nina. And honestly, even if that didn't happen, she'd likely still continue to drink the Kool-Aid Drew's been serving her anyway, because that's just what keeps happening for her. You'd think at this point, Sonny or Jason or even Carly would have called Michael to be like, why did you refuse to see Willow? But that hasn't happened yet either. Or fly to Germany. It's not like they don't have the money. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully Jocelyn will call Michael, and he'll come running back to Port Charles to set things straight. And yes, I'm still praying that Michael will look like Drew Garrett, even if it's an unrealistic dream of mine. I think it'll likely be Chad Duell, though, if I'm being honest, because coming back temporarily doesn't seem like a big ask for Chad to do anyway. He can go to court and leave again to finish working on his recovery, and then when they decide to bring Michael back full-time, they can maybe recast him if Chad decides to not come back to the show full-time. That's my guess. But yeah, since we're kind of talking about Drew, we'll kind of stick to that subject a little bit. We'll get into his ongoing blackmail of Portia. He's doubling down on his demands and asks to convince Curtis to not write an opinion piece on Drew, and Curtis is trying to figure out why. Portia asks Curtis this, by the way, not Drew. And Curtis is trying to figure out why, because Portia's reasonings aren't flying with him, and he's picked up on a pattern when it comes to Drew a little bit. The fact that she's always seemingly somewhat defending him or persuading Curtis to not go after him. Not that he mentions that to her though. And Allison, I agree with you. It's stupid that no one's telling Michael anything. So dumb. Jason should be the first one to have done that. Carly be damned, But yeah, anyway, so Curtis, instead of going to Portia and confronting her, he goes to his ex-wife Jordan about this situation, which reminds me of the traits that I dislike about Curtis. But I am at least glad that he's not being dumbed down for this story. He's not being written as clueless for this. He actually makes the conclusion that Portia must be getting blackmailed by Drew all on his own, but instead of confronting Portia on it, he confronts Drew. The fallout of that happened on today's episode. I liked that there was at least a sense that both characters were watching each other carefully. Both actors played it really well. Obviously, Curtis leaned into Drew's assumption that Portia told him, but let Drew do most of the talking so he could figure out how he managed to blackmail Portia. And he even recorded the conversation for good measure. And he was obviously pissed when Drew left demanding that he write a piece endorsing Laura's opponent, or his wife will face the consequences of what she did. Now keep in mind, Drew did not mention the fact that she drugged him. Just what she did to try and keep Heather Weber in jail for Trina's sake. But we do see Drew make a call to Mac, saying that he knows who drugged him. And I think he's going to frame Curtis in order to neutralize them both. Because Portia's not likely going to let him go down for something she did, I don't think. At least I would hope not. That would suck. But yeah, I mean, Curtis may even get arrested at the nurse's ball. You know, just throw in some more drama in there. Drew, he also tried to get Tracy to endorse his slimy lackey politician friend for mayor over Laura, and added wanting access to the Q Mansion again on top of getting his name back. And Tracy wasn't having it. I hope she holds to it. The one thing that like really confused me, because that happened in Friday's episode, was that Drew seemed to like make his way towards the Q Mansion instead of back to his boat or whatever. Like that, it made me like, I don't know. I was just worried that he was gonna overhear the stuff with Brooklyn, but you know, in the next scene he was just at Curtis's place or Curtis's office. So I don't know. The editing for that was really weird, and I feel like surely I'm not the only one that picked up on how weird that was. Allison, you said you like Curtis. I like Curtis for the most part too. It's just like sometimes he's such a hypocrite, and that gets on my nerves. Is Heather Weber coming back? I mean, she has to at some point. Maybe Heather is the one. Maybe Heather is the one that appears at the nurse's ball. You know? Maybe Drew did in fact sell out Portia and like just decided to tell Heather, and that's what brings her back to town. I don't know. You know, Kaiwan, I forgot that Laura's assistant deputy mayor was still alive. But I disagree with you. Angel, you said I don't think it'll be Chad anymore. Not sure, since Temp Michael was upset by not being allowed to audition. Yeah, but maybe he wasn't available at that time and will be for this one. Carly learned the hard way. Yeah, I will say physically Nina won that fight, but she also lost it because it really just screwed Willow over in the end. So potentially, it really, like, yeah, Nina for sure like won the fight. She definitely won up to Carly, but yeah, unfortunately for her, you know, when Sunny just convinced Willow to push the trial back, Nina had to go cry into her, and she just like forgot all about it. I was like, screw it, we're going after Carly, we'll see what happens. Angel said, I hope we are not seeing Heather Weber, it's too soon for me. It's funny, I like earlier today I was watching clips of like Robin Matson's first return as Heather, like when she was kind of going after Laura and Leslie, and framing Sky for murder. But like only the beginning of that storyline was uploaded, so I didn't get to see the rest of it. And like the rest of it is kind of where I started watching GH more so, because I can remember like Laura's like body double, you know, in a chair, and that was like my first real glimpse of Laura from that story, and Heather thinking that she was Laura, or maybe that was a tactic. That part I can't remember. Laura, like, she seemed convinced that she was Laura because she wanted to be with Luke, and it was the whole thing. So I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess technically they've kind of written Heather more tamed, so I don't think that she's gonna bring a lot of chaos back to the show. Like, we don't even see Ace no more. Like, there's not much of a reason for her to wreak havoc in town. Angel said, honestly, Willow deserves to lose those kids right now. She's brainwashed and not on the right mind to be a responsible mother. Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. But, you know, Michael would have wanted shared custody. And, you know, if Drew ends up proving that he was drugged, which he obviously knows he was, and he knows who did it, like Carly's strategy goes out the window, because then all she would have is Willow had an affair with Drew. So, like, you know, and then they would just be like, well, look what happened to Michael. How can the kid be safer with the father when the father got firebombed and torched to death at his own father's house? Like that, that's gonna be a losing battle for her. So really the best way around it is to just, you know, for Michael to show up and do what he has to do to get shared custody. And honestly, like, if Michael comes back, he can be like, I never told people to stay away from you. You came to visit me. Like, he needs to be upfront about that and be like, I don't know why that happened. Hopefully someone finds out that Drew, you know, prevented Michael and Willow from meeting, and that Willow would see that. Allison says, I think Curtis knows it was Portia. I mean, maybe, but either way, he's probably going to find out one way or the other. Yeah, I'm interested to see Curtis's next move. Because Drew's already made his. I do think that he's going to frame Curtis, because there's a reason why he didn't just instantly throw Portia under the bus. So I don't know. I don't know. Angel said, I wouldn't do shared custody with Willow right now. Where's Nell when you need her? You know, somewhere handless, I think. Or no, only Ryan lost his hand. Nell, we just didn't see a body. Allison says, yeah, he needs to tell the truth or someone does. I'm so sick of Drew. Yeah, I can't wait till he gets got. Alright. Now, we might as well get into the rest of the cues, because they were at the forefront of last week, and they're clearly going to be at the forefront for the Nurses Ball. And, you know, the Brooklyn and Lulu drama just keeps on increasing. So, first, Tracy asked Lulu to back down in regards to her article on adoptions, which she does. But since Lulu has her suspicions that Gio is actually Brooklyn and Dante's kid, she's still digging behind the scenes. And she even managed to get Cody on board as well when she tells him Brooklyn got pregnant and had a kid. And I forgot that Cody didn't actually knew that, to be fair. I was like, oh, I thought he knew. But no, he only knew that they had sex and she went home. But yeah, so Lulu then explains her theory about Gio to him as well. Of course, Lulu's still stuck on thinking the worst of Brooklyn and thinks that she's likely aware that Gio is their son and is completely fine with Gio and Dante living on one roof, which annoys me. So when the truth inevitably does come out, Lulu's definitely gonna feel like shit when she realizes that Brooklyn didn't know. But yeah, Lulu still had to find a way to figure out if her theory actually has merit, though. So in today's episode, she goes digging for information on the woman who was supposedly Gio's mom. And she does so by tracking down her former bandmates that she used to tour with. And they confirmed that when Gio was born, their band was on tour in New Zealand, so she couldn't have been in LA when she supposedly gave birth to Gio, like it's been claimed. And she was never pregnant at the time either, but she did leave the group at the drop of a dime, with no notice around the time Gio was born, giving Lulu proof that at the very least the woman who raised Gio for the first few years of his life did not in fact give birth to him at all. because the band member also sent them a picture of them on a beach around the time she would have been 9 months pregnant. So yeah, they know one way or the other that Gio is not biologically that woman's child. So Tracy, during that time as well, tried to convince Jason to track down Brooklyn's child. And I kind of like that she trusts him enough to keep a confidence that, is about someone that she cares deeply about, despite her loathing of Sonny. And when he decided to stay out of it, though, she just put him on notice that she's gonna go full speed ahead on running Sonny out of town, and doesn't care if he'll be collateral damage. But yeah, and also, like, to be fair, like, Tracy was going to back out of, going after Sonny if he did do that favor. But Jason's like, this is not my business. I don't feel comfortable because Brooklyn would not know that I'm looking for her son. So there you go. This situation is going to get ugly, y'all. But I'm kind of here for it. This secret kid story has been absolute garbage almost all the way through. Just based on how poorly written it has been. Especially with the extra emphasis on how Dante just hates Gio so much for the crime of not calling him about his son's poor choices. Which, of course, they lean into last week and even today more so. But the climax is going to be juicy, y'all. I'm excited for the climax. Now we just got to get a good story all the way through instead of either having a bad lead up with a great climax or a good lead up that fizzled when it should have exploded. In my opinion. Angel, yeah, you said Chase claimed he ID'd Nell's body. Yeah, that's true. That is true. But anything can happen on a soap. We'll see. I mean, she's not far. She is dating the actor that plays Cody, so she could just stop by the set. Do a little story. Allison, you said, yeah, Dante is a hypocrite and a jerk. Yeah, he's being written so trash. Like, Dante, like, the kind of character that I feel like we know him to be, would totally get, like, Gio's stance. And, like, he would have been like, you know what, I probably would have done the same thing. And, like, to that end, like, despite not calling his parents first, he was at least smart enough to bring Gio home, where Cody was able to tell that something was off with Rocco. But yeah, it's just so heavy-handed, and like it just, I don't know, it annoys me. That part annoys me because it just seems so left field and so out of character for Dante to just be that mad at the person in the situation that he should have been the least mad at, to be honest. Like, why aren't you mad that Danny didn't call? Like, yeah, Danny's a good kid. He's just, got a poor excuse for a father. Like, but you're mad at Gio, despite him being the one to get him out of that party. Yeah, it's just it's a nutsy part of the story that I really dislike. But yeah, other than that, like we had like the Joss and Emma stuff last week as well. I still think Joss and Emma's story has potential to be a good story overall. Like, yeah, it didn't start out great. Jocelyn being a WSB agent seems silly, but she's starting to hold her own. And I'm starting to buy her as a WSB agent a little bit. Just a little bit. But yeah, last week Jocelyn got the job as Dalton's assistant over Emma as a result of stealing and copying Emma's work and corrupting her original file. And when Emma found out she got the job over her, she was pissed and already suspects that Jocelyn stole her job on purpose. Now, Jocelyn tried to reassure her that if she sees anything that looks like animal abuse, she will report him, and NDA be damned. But it wasn't enough to convince Emma that Joss is a good person. To be honest, I really hope that at some point Jocelyn will let Emma know that she's secretly working for the WSB to find out what he did or what he's up to. I mean, and the reason I want that and like think that like it could be a possibility is because it's clear to me that the WSB's main goal with this, whatever this is to basically confiscate whatever he's working on for their own gain and likely just disappear him. So, I don't know. And I know that Joss would hate the corruption. But maybe Anna can get her out of it. I don't know. I just want Emma and Joss to be friends at the end of this. Like, I really liked their chemistry when Emma was opening up to Jocelyn at the party a couple weeks ago. And, like, they had, like, a genuine moment. And so much so that she told Jocelyn what she didn't even tell Anna. So, like, I don't know. I just want them to be friends, if not frenemies. Or maybe, like, Emma can work in the WSB too. And give it a good name again, like back in the 80s. But yeah, that was kind of like the recap of last week and today's episode. But before we end the stream, I do want to talk about what we know about the Nurses' Ball, since, Tuesday onwards, it's all about the Nurses' Ball. Last week we did see a lot of rehearsal moments on the show, and from that, this is what we know. We know that Gio has a number. We know that Trina has a number, I think, with Jocelyn. And we know that Donna has a number. It looks like Chase and Anna are dancing together as well. But my favorite thing is that Tracy seems to have a number with Anna and Felicia as her backup dancers. We've only seen Tracy perform at the Nurses' Ball once, and really it was just as Epiphany's backup dancer alongside Monica. And this time she's front and center and supposedly singing. So I hope to God we actually get to see this, because I will absolutely love it, because it's just so out of character for Tracy, like, or who we've known Tracy to be. But because Tracy softened up, like, her wanting to, parade around front and sing and be the star, like, seems pretty on brand for who, like, this more laid back Tracy has become, like, more open to making a fool of herself. I like that. Tracy kind of owns that now. So God, and Jane Elliott will kill it. You guys know that. So I don't know. That is what I'm looking forward to, the Nurses' Ball myself. Angel, you said I really wish Emma is also WSB. Come on, Totally Spies. True. Yeah, I would be down for them to be a good team. That'd be so funny, Tracy performing. It would be. I would really enjoy it. Oh man. But yeah, like, what do you guys want to see what are you guys looking forward to the most at the Nurses' Ball? Is it one of the performances, or are you just looking for, like, the drama that could ensue? I mean, while we don't really truly know, we're all kind of predicting at this point that Gio stuff's going to be revealed. Perhaps Michael's coming back to sort of deal with the custody situation. And maybe Curtis or Portia will get arrested at the Nurses' Ball. They're both there. So I don't know. I guess I'm looking forward to seeing Gio perform too. Just because I know Giovanni, who plays him, manages to make, the violin really cool in his performances. Very, very Lindsay Sterling-like. But I don't know. But Lindsay Sterling's more, like, mystical. And, like, I don't know. She has her thing. It's, like, nerdy, but, like, I like that kind of nerdy. I don't know. But, Giovanni, he makes it look cool too. So I'm excited. But yeah, what are you guys looking forward to the most? Let me know. Allison, you said I like the performances, but can't wait for the drama. Yeah, I guess overall I'm looking forward to all of it. We know that Drew and Nina are hosting the red carpet this year. I guess they couldn't afford, the like, sort of Entertainment Tonight host girl that they usually bring to it. But there is someone that's in, like, that sort of realm that's going to make an appearance. Because we've seen her and Maurice on set. Austin, you said the Geo secret needs to come out already. I agree. Angel, you said I just hope the drama is good. I agree. Hoping that storyline will finally progress. It's taking too long. I also agree. Yeah, like, I am looking forward to all of that because these stories, I mean, I don't know. It feels like the Geo thing, like the Geo thing doesn't feel that long because there was a lot of time where it wasn't really at the forefront, but it has been for a few months now. I think the pacing has been pretty decent with that. It's just that the way the story was told was shit. So weird. Why is Drew hosting the red carpet? I don't know. And Drew and Nina together is like, how did that happen? Why did that happen? Lisa? Who's Lisa? She's always the favorite performer. No, but who's Lisa? Oh man, you know what I was kind of hoping, and I don't think she is, but Nancy Lee Grimes' daughter, like, her music, she's killing it, you guys. Like, I'm actually really impressed with Nancy's daughter. She got some pipes on her. Lisa Niles. Like, Lisa Niles has never performed at the Nurses Ball, so it can't be her. Oh, Lisa. Yeah, actually, even my mom was talking about that today, Kaiwan. Like, we were like, you know, Lisa would be, like, a fun surprise. Lisa Olbrecht. Yeah, she can crash the Nurses Ball at the beginning opening number. But she doesn't really have much of a reason to do it either. I don't know. Like, what reason would she have to come into town? And also Kathleen Gotti's a great performer. Yeah, no, she is really entertaining at the Nurses Ball. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna be her. That would be cool though. That'd be cool. She just kind of vanished in the realm of God knows where. We never really got like an out, I don't know, like a exit story for her. She just faded into the background. Yeah, not with Britt gone. Like, I know she's related to Nina too, and Willow, and her, you know, Willow's kids by extension, but like, I don't think that's enough for her to come back. I mean, honestly, she would be all up in Drew's grill as well. Be all up in Drew's face, because, you know, she knows a con when she sees one too. But it is what it is. I'd rather keep her away from all this mess anyway. But yeah, that was GH in a nutshell last week, you guys, and today's episode as well. Angel, you said, did Obrecht ever move out of Port Charles? We don't know. We're assuming so. Like, the last time she was around, she did mention that she was like going on a lot of retreats. And so I think the assumption is that she's probably just been doing that ever since. And maybe found a place, you know, wherever those retreats are taking place to live. I don't know. But we've not been told anything definitively about where Obrecht is now. Like I said, we don't know. Like, I didn't even know Kathleen Gotti moved. I was just referring to the character, like, going on retreats and stuff. But we didn't get an exit story for her. Oh, Kaiwan. I still, you know, Beyond the Gate story seems to have great storylines. The actors. I did hear they recasted someone, though. I don't remember which character, but unless they recast the main girl that seems to be the focus of the show, or at least it was when I was watching. If they don't recast her, then I'm not interested because I just can't with her. I just can't. I can't take the show seriously with her as the lead. But anyway, yeah, that's it, guys. I don't really have much more to say. Again, Thursday instead of Wednesday, we're gonna be doing part 2 of Denise Alexander's tribute and watching more clips. Oh yeah, Steve Burton got married again. Yeah, I was gonna mention that. I forgot to. Congratulations to Steve Burton. I hope he finds happiness with her. Because, you know, his last wife did him dirty. They recasted the second daughter. First girl, the first daughter, husband with... They recasted Bill. Oh, really? I mean, like, he wasn't a horrible actor to me, but... That's... Okay. Alright. How's the new Bill, then? How's new Bill doing? But, again, I can't... What's the crazy girl's name? Allison? Unless they recast her. I just can't. I can't jump back on board. Yeah, how's new Bill in compared to old Bill? Yeah, we'll talk about this a bit. Let me know how these recasts be doing. But again, if they don't recast the main girl, can't do it. Just can't do it. Well, I mean, the Beyond the Gate still records on my TV, so maybe I'll see what this new Bill looks like. But I don't see me investing in the show unless they recast that. At least if they recast that one. There's some other actors that aren't great on there as well, but like, she's the main problem for me. I just can't take it seriously with her, like, doing all that. But yeah, anyway, I think I'm going to end the live stream here. Again, I'll see you guys Thursday for the Denise Alexander Part 2 tribute. And in the meantime, if you liked this live stream, give it a big old thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. I'd really appreciate that. And I'll catch you guys this Thursday. Have a good night, y'all. Mwah.